We are right on the precipice of 1,000 subscribers here on the channel. It is so close that I can feel it stirring in my loins. Make sure if you guys aren't subscribed already and you like Raid Shadow Legends content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification if you want to be notified about it. What are we doing today? We are on the main account, and I am going to be hopping in to show you guys a little bit of tips and tricks for gear cleansing. I came prepared this time. I have my camera in the middle. I'm not going to be blocking the stats over on the left-hand side, so don't worry about that. What are we talking about first? We are talking about rings, as you could probably tell by the thumbnail. So I'm going to be starting with the accessories here, because I think the accessories and especially the rings are very, very important for newer players to understand, because this slot is the one that you'll have accessible for almost every champion before you take them to 5 or 6 stars. So any sort of 4-star champions will be able to access this. I don't even think they have to be ascended. If I scroll all the way down here, yeah, no, you just get a ring straight out from the start. You have a ring slot there once you take them to 4 stars. So the rings are definitely important. You can get some good utilization out of them early on. And recently I spent a little bit more time than usual actually cleansing through my own gear, and ended up selling like 400 artifacts, accessories, and like 200 artifacts or something like that. So just sharing some tips here for you guys. So first of all, I want to say that this will be directed kind of at newer to mid-game and very early late-game players, but there's going to be probably some tips in here for everybody. In the comments down below, if you're a newer player, go ahead and ask any questions that you have, and if you're an older player or somebody who's been around the game a little bit more, go ahead, feel free to answer those tips, leave some tips of your own down, answer those questions, leave some tips of your own down in the comments as well, and I'll probably pin a comment too. And then last thing, once we hit those 1,000 subscribers, we're going to be doing a giveaway on the channel. Probably some Steam games or something like that. Nothing too crazy, but a big thank you for everybody who's supported me so far. Let's get right into it. So first thing, let's go ahead and filter by rings alone. So as you can see, I have a decent amount of rings for pretty much every faction in the game. I definitely am struggling a little bit for rings in the Undead Hordes. So the one thing I want to cover off the start here, for me at least, I'm fairly late game, fairly close to end game, I would say, if not already there. Just for context, I'm beating up Doom Tower hard consistently. I'm hitting 3 levels of Hydra with my keys throughout the week. I am gold 2, almost gold 3, pushing gold 3 in live arena, gold 5 consistently right outside platinum in classic arena, and gold 1 fairly consistently inside tag team arena, just to give you an idea where my account is at. So for my account, even at that stage, any, and I mean any, literally any set piece on a ring that has a special effect, I am keeping. So this is going to include Stone Skin, Refresh, Slayer, all that sort of good stuff. All of these I am keeping. Cleansing rings as well, but especially Stone Skin and sometimes even Protection rings. The reason for this is Stone Skin especially, but also the Slayer set, Supersonic, Merciless, all that sort of good stuff. They are very, very hard to get. And if we take a look at even, for example, Slayer, right? So you can get the 6-piece bonus with your upper gear, which can be farmed fairly easily. But to get the full 9-piece bonus, you're gonna, well, I'm in the way now, so let's move me again here. To get the full 9-piece bonus, you're gonna have to also equip it in your accessories. So, and this is huge, because this is giving you crit damage, speed, and a 30% chance to repeat the damage dealt by AoE skills. That is incredible, because in somewhere like Hydra, for example, if you have an AoE heavy champion, having a 30% chance to basically just do that AoE attack again is absolutely insane. Something like this really shines on somebody like an Oboro. This, of course, isn't a highlight video for the Slayer set, though, but I want to say, first of all, that if you have really any of these sets, so again, Reaction would be definitely a very good thing to call out here as well. Any sort of a special set piece, bonus, accessory, or artifact, be very careful cleansing it. I am refusing to sell basically any of these for the moment. Blood Shield as well is included in there. I certainly don't sell Stone Skin or anything like that, just because they are so crucial to your account. There's so many champions that you have to have built out in Stone Skin. There's so many champions that benefit from having Blood Shield when they're trying to solo content. And there's so many champions that just benefit from the ridiculously OP effects that you get from some of these Slayer and Merciless sets. You definitely want to be keeping these. I can be a little bit more lenient with them being a lower rarity, maybe some worse substats, those sorts of things, as long as it is from a good set. So this would be one of the very few instances in the game where I would say to prioritize sets over stats. I did a video recently on Lady of Aerith where I actually showcased her with like all refresh accessories pretty much, and it went very, very well. She was getting tons of procs because that's a 15% chance to reduce or prevent a cooldown, I suppose. Like it's insane. So definitely make sure you're holding on to those. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and move myself once again here. Let's talk about rings a little bit, just so that everybody is on the same page. Primary stats, what can they roll? They can roll flat HP, flat attack, and flat defense. So if you're very early in the game, don't make the mistake of saying, oh, well, these are all flat stats, let's go ahead and sell them, because you're going to sell every single ring that you ever get, which is not going to be good. In terms of substats, rings can roll basically the same thing, kind of, but not really. They can roll anything on the left-hand side. So they can roll HP, HP percentage, attack percentage, and so on. So as you see, those substats here, that's what they can roll is on the left-hand side right here. So what do we want? Well, it depends on the main stat of the ring. Let's say that we had an attack main stat, right? Ideally, what you want in this situation, and this is a terrible example of it actually, but you want an attack percentage substat to go with your attack main stat. Why is this? Well, that's because when you're putting an attack ring on somebody, you're more than likely putting it onto a nuker or somebody that's dealing damage. The only exception being, you know, perhaps if you have an attack reaction ring and you just need somebody to survive. That might be the exception, right? But if you're to that point in the game, I trust you know what you're doing anyways, so this tip might go on deaf ears. But essentially, if you're putting an attack ring on somebody, you're going to want a lot of attack percentage on the bottom, because at the end of the day, the more you can scale that attack, the better. Attack-based damage dealers in the game do not benefit from HP percentage, defense percentage, those sorts of things. So while it is nice to have them there, ideally you'll have a triple or a quad roll into attack on an attack amulet. If you have something like this where it's flat attack and it has attack here, if it went all HP and all defense, I would honestly probably sell it unless it was incredibly high rolls on both of those metrics. If you got like a quadruple into HP percentage here, you could probably justify it, but I would say even triple rolls into HP and those sorts of things you're going to start to get rid of in the end game. That being said though, early game, mid game, you're going to take pretty much whatever you can get on your champions, because it's going to be so crucial to get those stats up, whatever those stats might be. So be it survival or, you know, damage, you're not really going to be too worried about it. If we go over then to the next two types of rings, so we have HP and we have defense. In my opinion, the HP rings are definitely going to be a little bit more valuable, because if we take a 6-star HP ring, it's going to give you 4,080 max HP as a boost, which is a big amount. And the other thing to consider too is in content these days, especially late game content, there's so many champions that are ignoring defense. So for example, we have Queen Ava in the arenas now. We have Mortu Macabre, who's present in like the Doom Tower waves and City of Centranos and all those sorts of good things. And they're ignoring 50%, 100%. Sun Wukong, for example, ignores 50% of your defense. There's so many defense ignoring effects that you're not really going to be focused on having defense as a main stat all that much, because there's no HP ignoring effects. Unless you're using somebody like a Taurus or a Narses, then, you know, your HP doesn't really matter either. But apart from that, you're going to be focused on getting as much HP as possible on a champion. So if I go ahead and take a look at my Pythion here, for example, I have him built out with 95k HP and 4200 defense. 42 is kind of the sweet spot, with 298 speed. So definitely not a bad build by any means, but he's definitely not very tanky. And the reason for that is when I'm going against champions that are ignoring that defense, they just hit so hard anyways. And especially if you don't have the resistance, like I don't have a whole lot of resistance on him. He's not resisting decreased defense or those sorts of things as well. So he definitely needs a little bit more HP. The exception being somebody, of course, like a Harima, where you want her built out with defense, because that's how the damage scales. So if you know that you're going to be running some defense-based damage dealers, then you'd probably want to go ahead. And you can see here, I still even have an HP-based ring on her. So HP-based rings are definitely the way to go versus defense rings in most situations. Don't just automatically sell your defense rings, because at the end of the day, if you're getting a defense main stat and you get like 3 rolls on the defense percentage, that is going to be a very, very good ring that you can use in a lot of areas of the game anyways. So like I say, don't just automatically sell it. Take it with a bit of grain of salt. Apply some critical thinking to it. Think about, what I like to do is I like to think about what kind of a champion could I use this on? Where am I going to use this? So for this, for example, a Stone Skin defense primary. I would probably use this on a defense-based nuker that's going to go on a go second team in live arena or tag team arena. That's probably where I'd use it. So realistically, I'm looking for pretty much just defense rolls, but I also wouldn't complain if I get a lot of HP rolls, especially considering that we have a flat stat HP here that's already enhanced, because then it could very easily go on to an HP-based nuker as well that I'm putting into a go second team, right? So same kind of thing with the attack rings as well, if I can find one. This is actually a pretty decent one here, triple roll. So that's the exception, right? It's defense primary, but a triple roll on attack. If we find an attack amulet, though, wherever they might be, so this, I'd be looking for pretty much just attack rolls. This one is actually a low roll as well, so you want this to be at least like 6 to 7% for a 6-star piece of gear. And then, you know, it's all about thinking about what champion you want to use it on, because at the end of the day, having a triple roll on so for example, having like a defensive triple roll on this attack amulet is great, but if it's never even going to be equipped on a champion, that's wasted silver that you could have. So that's like 80,000 silver that's being wasted, and more importantly, that's a slot that's being wasted that you could be replacing with better gear, right? So just make sure that the gear is actually going to get used if you're keeping it on your account. Lastly, we're going to talk, of course, about defense-based rings. So same kind of thing. Apply it in the way of, you know, what champion am I going to use this on? How am I going to benefit from this? And again, you know, you want to keep your sets, right? So definitely make sure to hold on to Stone Skin. Stone Skin is by far the most important set to have on your account right now. There are entire teams based around having everybody built in Stone Skin in live arena, for example, or tag team arena. So as you're progressing through, you're going to go ahead and need more of those accessories. So definitely make sure you hold on to Stone Skin. Definitely make sure that you're using your Chaos Ore on that if you have it as well, and you have a good mythical piece or something like that that you want to rework to get a better substat. But even if you have trash rolls and stuff like that, it is definitely worth holding on to that Stone Skin for the majority of players, because it's so hard to farm as well. It's just coming from Hydra, so just make sure that, you know, you hold on to it. I'm repeating myself a lot, but I need you guys to understand that you hold on to Stone Skin accessories across the board. Even Stone Skin gear on the upper pieces, you can be a lot more lenient with. Hold on to it, please. And especially as the game goes on, it seems like Stone Skin is only getting more important, because that's one of the main ways to counter somebody like an Armands right now. Defensive-based rings, though, you're looking for that defense roll and, of course, HP rolls. You're not really worried in any situation about attack on there. There's maybe 1 or 2 champions in the game that can actually benefit from both attack and defense, and they're probably mythicals, so you most likely don't have them. But you'd want to just go ahead and look for that HP, look for that defense. Let's see, we have defense ring there. This is the exception because it was a triple roll. I could very easily Chaos Ore this as well. This is actually going to be a sell. I don't know why this is still on my account, because it's not a triple roll. Defense and HP. This ring, honestly, for me, I'm probably going to sell it soon enough. I just don't really have a better ring to replace it with. Defensive rings, you're going to use those mainly, I would say, on PvE content. So, for example, having a Harima built out for climbing Doom Tower, you can easily get a defense ring on her just so that she can get a little bit more damage scaling. And then in the PvP content, like I say, you're most likely going to be using the HP rings. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, when you're glyphing stuff as well, same kind of priority goes. So make sure that you're using glyphs on your good set pieces first. You can also get some ascensions. So when it comes to ascensions, you can get these stats here, which you can't really see. Let me move myself. So ascension possibilities are HP, attack, and defense. If you have an attack ring, you want it to be attack. If it's HP, and so on, right? You kind of want it to match up to the main stat. Only exception being, once again, if you have triple roll on attack and you're putting it on a nuker, you want this to probably be an attack ascension bonus at the end of the day. I hope this helps, though. If you guys have any tips, like I say, just leave them down below. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and thank you once again for the amazing support I've had on the channel so far. I'll see you guys next time.